mailbox, I found an envelope with no return address. Just a plain white envelope. No stamp, no name. Inside was a single square Polaroid. It showed a girl, pale as a ghost, in a clean white off-the-shoulder dress. She seemed to be asleep, sitting in a chair with her head tilted back. Her skin looked like porcelain, and her delicate features could have been carved from marble. Her long, curled eyelashes, enhanced with makeup, suggested the photo was staged. Yet, there was something odd about her pose, something stiff, something lifeless. On the back, someone had written in neat handwriting, "Keep her secret, it will save her life." The words sent a chill down my spine. I stared at the photo for a long time, unable to look away. Who was this girl? Where was she? What secret was I supposed to keep? And who put this in my mailbox? If this was a joke, it was a truly twisted one. I threw the photo in the trash, but then fished it out and hid it in my closet. I had a terrible feeling this wasn't as simple as it seemed. A week passed. I had almost forgotten about the strange envelope. Life went on as usual, but every time I checked the mail, my heart pounded in my chest. I kept hoping I wouldn't find anything strange in there again. But another envelope appeared. It was exactly the same as the first, with no address and no stamp. I waited until I was home to open it, a cold sweat breaking out across my body. Inside was another photo, the same girl, the same pose, but her skin was no longer porcelain. It had a faint bluish tint, and the first signs of decay were visible. Dark circles had appeared under her eyes, and her lips looked dry and cracked. The delicate lace dress seemed to cling to her body, and just below her neck, a deep, vertical cut was now clearly visible. The wound was black with ragged edges. Was it makeup? Photoshop, maybe? But this was an instant photo. Was it fake, or was she really dead? I swallowed hard, trying to calm myself, but my mind was racing. Could someone be photographing a girl's corpse, a murdered girl? The vertical wound on her chest suggested as much. I took the first photo from my closet and laid them side by side on the table. The wound had been there in the first picture, too. I just hadn't noticed it. The incision had been as thin as a thread, but now, as decomposition set in, the edges of the skin had begun to pull apart. If the girl was murdered, she couldn't have been wearing this dress when she died. Blood would have stained it. Someone had cleaned her body, applied her makeup, dressed her in the white gown, sat her in the chair, and taken her picture. And a week later, that person took another photo. The angle in both pictures was identical, which meant the camera was in the exact same spot, most likely on a tripod. I stared at the photos again and again. First, a girl with porcelain skin, as if she had just drawn her last breath. Second, her skin was bluish with a greenish tinge. It was like looking at two different faces. It was horrifying. I flipped the first photo over and reread the message. Keep her secret. It will save her life. But how could you save someone who was already dead? There was nothing written on the back of the second photo. What was I supposed to do? Take these to the police? Maybe investigators could find fingerprints or trace the handwriting. But I didn't understand this sick mind game. It was possible that the sender was waiting for my reaction, waiting for me to make a move. Any normal person would go straight to the police, and the killer had to know that. They must be expecting it. The phrase, "keep her secret," could even be a threat. Someone was clearly playing with me. They wanted to watch and enjoy my fear. What if I pretended I had taken the envelope but hadn't opened it, just tossed it straight into the trash? Would they check? I decided not to give this person the satisfaction of a reaction. Let them see me on the street with a completely blank expression. It was like a game of poker. If the girl in the photo was really dead, then there was nothing anyone could do to help her. I wouldn't be a pawn in this story. Another week went by, and in the mailbox, as if it had materialized out of thin air, was a new envelope. A fire of anxiety burned in my chest, but I forced myself to breathe calmly. What if someone was watching me right now? I nonchalantly took the envelope and walked slowly up the stairs to my apartment. The moment the door closed behind me, I let my emotions take over. My hands trembled as I tore open the envelope. I saw the photo inside, and my stomach churned. The girl in the picture had changed dramatically. Her skin had turned a sickly green. Through her half-open eyelids, her cloudy pupils were visible. Her hair looked dull, her cheeks sunken. Her body was shriveling, the dress slipping from her chest, but her stomach was bloated. The wound on her chest had gaped open like a pocket, revealing her ribs. She was rotting in that chair. I dropped the photo on the table, but my fingertips still tingled as if I'd touched something disgusting. I wanted to wash my hands with soap, to wash my eyes, to erase the horrifying image of that corpse. The person sending me these photos was a true psychopath. I couldn't even bear to look at them, while this person was in the same room with the dead body, smelling the stench of decay and acting like it was completely normal. This psychopath had an advantage over me. They felt no disgust, no horror. For me, those feelings were overwhelming. To beat them and hide my emotions, I had to learn to see this as they did, to look at a corpse and feel nothing. I had to play this game by my own rules, to become the hunter, not the victim. The next week felt like walking on needles, but I let no one see it. I looked at people on the street without suspicion, smiled at acquaintances as I always did, and even petted the neighborhood cat. Not even the most observant person would have noticed a change in me. Thank God no one can read minds. Friday arrived. I wasn't surprised. The envelope was in the mailbox, right on schedule. The initial fear was gone, replaced by a morbid curiosity. Maybe the sender had left a special message this time? No, nothing. Just a plain white envelope. I took it to my apartment and opened it carefully. The girl in the photo was almost unrecognizable. Her skin had turned brown and was covered in patches of white mold. Her face was shrunken, her lips pulled back in a grimace, revealing a set of neat, white teeth. Her eyeballs had melted, dripping down her cheeks like slime. The once white dress was now stained with brownish fluid from the corpse. The wound on her chest was a gaping hole, her ribs jutting out. There were black dots in the picture. I realized they were flies. Looking closer, I could also see maggots crawling in her dark, empty eye socket. It was absolutely disgusting. But even alone in my apartment, I didn't flinch. I kept my eyes wide open. I had to be stronger than this. Sometimes, I wanted to give up and go to the police. It would be foolish to get myself killed without ever telling anyone what I'd been finding in my mailbox. Could I trust someone with this secret? I had a good friend, Lena. We had known each other since school. She couldn't possibly have anything to do with a murder. I pushed down the wave of nausea as I remembered the flies in that room and picked up my phone. Hey Lena, I'm suddenly craving pizza, but it's no fun to eat alone. Want to come over? We can watch a movie. Lena agreed. I wanted to tell her everything, but when she arrived, I realized I couldn't. The words wouldn't come. This was my secret, mine alone, and the psychopaths who sent me these photos week after week. I listened to my friend, smiling as if I were having a good time, chewing on pizza as if I had an appetite, while my mind was on the photos in my closet. I should get going, Lena said eventually. I told her we had a great time and should do it again soon, even though I was thinking the opposite. The door closed. I was alone again. A sense of relief washed over me. The photos were still there, lying on a shelf in the closet under a pile of t-shirts. A horrific puzzle I had to solve on my own. In my mailbox, there was another envelope. I opened it with a pounding heart. It wasn't fear anymore. but a strange kind of impatience. The body had lost most of its fluids and was drying out. The top of the dress had slipped down to her stomach, and her hair was falling out. In the photo was no longer a girl, but a skeleton draped in wrinkled, dark brown skin. Where her eyes had been, there were now two round, black holes. I no longer grimaced in disgust. Instead, I found myself looking forward to the new envelope each week, comparing the latest photo with the previous ones to see the changes. I wasn't ashamed of this curiosity anymore. The fear had completely faded, leaving only a morbid fascination. I was going crazy. Every time I opened an envelope, I felt a strange sense of anticipation. The girl in the photos continued to decay, but it turned out that a corpse doesn't rot forever. Her skin finally dried out over her bones and turned black. Her body had become a mummy. The last two photos, taken a week apart, were different only in their lighting. However, on the back of the very last photo, there was a message I didn't see at first. Another cryptic note. Turn back time. What did that mean? A week passed, and no new envelope arrived. The sight of the empty mailbox shocked me. It was strange. It used to be the opposite. I hadn't realized how addicted I'd become to these photos. I checked the mail 10 times a day, full of hope. Where was my envelope? Another week went by, and the mailbox remained empty. The next week, still nothing. In my closet, I had a collection of 12 photos. 12 weeks. That's how long it took for a corpse to turn into a dry mummy. I could finally take the photos to the police, but instead, I found myself looking at them one by one. I stacked them in order and then flipped through them quickly. The rapid motion created the illusion of the corpse decomposing right before my eyes. Turn back time. A thought flashed through my mind. I arranged the photos so that the last one was on the bottom and the first was on top. Turn back time. This is what the sender meant. Like a movie playing in reverse, I flipped through the stack in the opposite direction. The mummy became fuller. The spots of decay vanished, and the wrinkled brown skin turned blue, then pale and smooth like porcelain. The dry corpse bloomed like a flower bud opening into a beautiful blossom. I felt a jolt of electricity run through my hands, as if I could actually reverse time. There, in the chair, was once again a beautiful girl with perfect white skin. But she was still dead. The thin cut on her chest was proof. I wanted to flip through them one more time, but my movement was clumsy. The photos slipped from my hands and scattered across the carpet. I rushed to pick them up and saw that there was nothing there. The images had vanished, leaving behind nothing but blank white squares. Realizing not a single photo was left, I suddenly felt a bitter sense of loss. How could this have happened? I was losing my mind. I wandered the streets like a ghost, my eyes aimlessly scanning the windows of houses. In which apartment could those photos have been taken? Over a month had passed, and I still couldn't stop this pointless search. Then, a miracle happened. I saw her. The girl was sitting at a table on a cafe terrace, pale, with delicate features and shiny black hair. She was an exact copy of the girl I had seen in the photos, only she wasn't wearing a white dress, but a tight black t-shirt and jeans. I froze, mesmerized, unable to look away. After taking a deep breath, I approached her table. "Excuse me," I said, my breath catching. "Have we met before?" She raised her piercing eyes and smiled. "I don't know you, but you've seen me before?" "It's hard to explain," I said, feeling like I was in a dream. "Your face is so familiar. I think I've seen you in a photo." "In a photo?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. The beautiful girl looked at me and smiled. "You don't know what to say next, do you?" "I'm a little confused," I admitted. "Then ask me about this book," she suggested. I pulled up a chair and sat across from her. "What are you reading?" The girl showed me the cover. The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Ever heard of it? I shook my head. It's the last, unfinished novel by Charles Dickens, she said. It's a detective story that was never completed. Charles Dickens died after writing only half of it. So the novel has no ending? I asked. Then what's the point of reading it? Sometimes the ending is a disappointment. With this book, you can use your imagination and create any ending you want. We talked non-stop for an hour, introducing ourselves. Her name was Mariana. After leaving the cafe, we walked down the street. From a distance, we might have looked like a couple in love. The glances, the smiles, the accidental touches. I was captivated, so happy to see her alive. "This is my place," Mariana said, stopping in a well-lit courtyard. "I'm inviting you in. Is that okay? We just met." I reminded her. "But you're the type who always sees things through to the end, right?" She teased. I felt that something was wrong, but there was no turning back. If I left now, I might never know the answer. We went up to her apartment. "Come in. I'll be right back," Mariana said, gesturing toward a room. I saw something familiar and stepped forward. An icy chill ran through my body. The old wallpaper with yellowed flowers, it was the same as in the photos. I entered the room and felt like I was in a nightmare. There stood a green chair with wooden armrests. Across from it, a large camera was mounted on a tripod. It all happened here. "This is for you. Do you like it?" Mariana asked, appearing in the doorway. She was hiding one hand behind her back. "What is all this?" I asked. "I was dead," she said. "But you did everything right, and you brought me back to life. Who sent me those photos?" I was confused, scared, and I wanted answers now. Mariana's beautiful face twisted into a frown. "A man. I don't want to talk about him. But now, I have to do the same thing for 3 months to finish what was started. Let me pass," I said, preparing to leave. The girl brought her hand out from behind her back. In it was a knife. "You're going to stay here. I have to do this. You understand? You're going to kill me?" I took a step back. "You'll come back to life later," she whispered, as if to soothe me. "Then why do you want to kill me?" I shouted. "Why continue this?" With her free hand, the girl pulled down the collar of her shirt, revealing a thin scar just below her neck. "This wound won't heal, and it hurts constantly, but it will close the moment I plunge this knife into your heart." "No, don't." My eyes were fixed on the knife as I kept backing away, trying to figure out how to escape. "Please don't move. It will only hurt more," she said, advancing slowly. "Stay back!" I yelled, then made a dash for the door. Mariana quickly blocked my path. I felt a sharp, piercing pain. I looked down and saw the blade of the knife buried in my chest. I tried to breathe, but I couldn't. My body went limp. My vision blurred, and the girl whispered softly in my ear, "There, just a little longer. It's almost over. It's like a dream. Dying is like falling asleep. Just relax. Everything will be fine." It felt like I was sinking to the bottom of a dark ocean. The pain vanished, the light disappeared, and all sounds faded away. I died. I found an envelope in the mailbox. No return address, just a plain white envelope. Inside was a Polaroid photo. It showed a young man, deathly pale, wearing a white shirt with the top 3 buttons undone, revealing his bare chest. The young man seemed to be asleep, sitting in a chair with his head tilted back. But there was something strange about his pose, something lifeless,